Anna Kasparian a dumb biffy? You know what we're talking about. Is she a female dog? So first of all, my car's back. I got my car back today. I'm excited. It's been a while. Uber really adds up in terms of the expense to keep Ubering and Ubering and Ubering everywhere, or taxi. So glad to be back in the wheels. Shout out to Jock. You inspired this video. You made some comments about Anna's intellectual abilities in response to my comments about her intellectual abilities or lack thereof. So I wanted to go into a little bit more detail on my thoughts on, is Anna a dumb biff or nah? I said it before, I'll say it again. I don't think she is dumb. I think she is pretty smart. I don't think she's particularly smart in terms of, I wouldn't. It's tough, man. It's context, right? Everything's relative. Relative to the typical partisan media person, I would say smarter than most. I mean, we have a lot of really dumb people, shall we say, in business. But if I'm not comparing her to anyone, if I'm just looking at her as an individual, I don't see anything that's particularly impressive there. She hasn't demonstrated anything that really blows my mind. So, in other words, the bar is really low, first of all. But even with that considered, I still think, I think she can hold her own. So, Jacques was saying something about that she is lazy with her analysis or something like that. I'm not really leaning in that particular direction. I mean, sure, I'm sure I've seen her do some lazy stuff, but I don't think that's her main issue. So, what conversation? I'm going the wrong way. I think I'm going the wrong way. Yeah, I'm going the wrong way. What conversation that this inspired was what conversation this inspired is that some of this stuff is more complicated than you might realize. It's not just simply a matter of how smart or dumb somebody is, or a matter of how dishonest someone is, or how partisan they are. It's a lot of different factors combined. So sometimes it's hard to really really figure out how all the pieces fit together. So I think part of the issues for Anna is going to be how do I approach this conversation? Okay, so let me give you the process that can occur, right? You can take someone who's generally an honest person, who generally wants to do the right thing in terms of media, right? So they want to start an independent media channel, they want to talk about the news or politics, good intentions in mind. That's what we begin with. Clean slate, good intentions. then the reality of this toxic platform called YouTube and the toxic business called media, American media specifically, comes into play. You start doing videos and you're not really doing that well. You're trying to be objective, you're trying to be balanced, you're trying to be honest. You're focused on delivering a quality product. And people just don't seem to be interested. You're not getting a lot of views, not getting a lot of clicks. You're getting ignored because you're small. You know, the bigger channels are not interested in doing collaborations with you and stuff like that. So you're isolated. You spend a lot of money, invest a lot of time. You're not really making money. Money's not coming back. I mean, everything just seems to be very, very dark, right? So you start getting desperate. You're not doing this as a charity, you're doing this as a business. You need to be able to survive. You need to be making revenue, adequate revenue to pay your bills. So you need to change something. Something drastic needs to change. So you start trying to maybe spice up your content, doing a little bit of trendy stuff here and there. Try to balance it in between your more serious content. You see that the trendy stuff is getting more views and the serious stuff is not really getting views. Maybe in your mind over time you'll start getting more views to your more solid content, but that doesn't really happen. It's just you do trendy stuff, you get more views. You do more serious stuff, less views. The more sensational the stuff is, the more traction you're getting, and therefore revenue. And you're in a position where you need to do more of that because you got to pay bills, and what you're doing is not working. The trendy stuff is helping a little bit, but it's not enough. So then you start looking for an angle, right? You look at the successful channels, you see what they're doing, and use that for inspiration. You start to recognize that some of the most successful channels are super partisan, right? They're like a left-wing channel or a right-wing channel. Objective channels don't really do that well. So you decide to pick a tribe. Decide to basically become a partisan media channel, just like what you see everybody else doing. So you go left-wing channel, right-wing channel, whatever it is, right? Once you get into that realm, you start focusing on particular trends. So if you go left-wing, you look at what type of content is getting a lot of views and traction and stuff like that. So maybe you recognize stuff about racism is popular, getting a lot of engagement. So then you start looking for stories about racism and, you know, maybe I'm going to do a deep dive or whatever it is, right? You spend a lot of time obsessing about your metrics, how many clicks you're getting, how many new subscribers, what's your watch times. And you get so involved in this process, late at night doing spreadsheets, all this kind of stuff. And at some point you start to lose yourself. It's no longer about doing quality content. It's no longer about a specific mission of informing the people. It's about running a business and maximizing profit. And the way you do that in the media is to pander to your audience and to pick a tribe and basically advocate for that tribe, right? Whatever is popular with that tribe in terms of message, you want to be doing that as well. So you start with there's a story that comes out, and you see, the channel talking about some racist cop shot someone, and you may look at it and say, why are they calling this cop racist? I didn't really see any evidence presented that shows that this cop is racist. I don't know why they're saying that. That's kind of weird. But you see the amount of views that are coming in, and you decide that you're gonna do better. You're not gonna go call this cop racist, right? But to yourself, you're gonna just asking questions, right? That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna just asking questions this stuff, while other people, your competitors, are going straight out saying it's racist cop, whatever. You say stuff like, I don't know if people are saying he's racist. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's sure strange that for some reason he picked out this black kid and there were other people there. You know what I mean? And in the last week, there's 3 other stories just like this. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I can't say it's racist or not racist, but I can say it looks mighty suspicious. Deep down inside, you know that you crossed a little bit of a line there, but you didn't go far enough to be too sort of uncomfortable, right? And because you're looking for this kind of content, you're engaging with it. So you're engaging with it on Twitter and other places. Algorithms are observing your behavior. So now your feeds are starting to warp, right? Now every time there's some accusation of racism with cops or something, the algorithm knows that you seem to like that stuff, so it's feeding it to you, right? So at first, maybe you were riding that line between you had some genuine concerns about whether this narrative was correct or not, right? Like you were concerned about it, but you lied to yourself and you said, well, maybe it's true. Deep down inside, you knew that probably it's not true, right? But it might be, all right? So you play around because survival, right? You know you need the content. This is the stuff that gets the views. So you try to, explain it to yourself in a way that makes sense, that, protects yourself from, oh, I'm doing something wrong. But because you've modified your feeds by engaging with the type of content, you start getting more and more of this stuff. So now you're getting bombarded every day. Some racist cop did this. Some racist teacher did this. Some racist whatever, every day. Slowly over time, being a vulnerable human being with a mushy brain between your ears, the idea that this is true, that this is reality, starts to set in, right? So you basically start to accept this as fact, as reality, that there's this crazy, there's a crazy amount of just racist cops just going around looking to kill black people or something like that. And it's not even that it's a deep thought process that you sat down and you thought about it, right? Essentially what's happening to you is you're being brainwashed by technology. The algorithm is feeding you this information. And over time, they say you tell a lie long enough, I think it can be imperceivable from the truth. I don't know how the expression is, but or start to believe it, I guess. You tell a lie long enough, you start to believe it. But basically, you keep repeating over and over again the same thing. It can start to seep in, and you start accepting it as the truth, right? So people are not robots. We're not digital. We're organic. We're complex. We have emotions. We have different histories. experiences. So people are going to fall different sides of the spectrum. Some people that are smarter are going to know all along that what they're doing is dishonest and inaccurate, but they're going to explain it away to themselves to justify it by saying it's not that they're lying. They're reporting on real stories, right? This cop really did punch this black kid. Now, you don't know whether he did it because of his skin color or not, but I mean, he did punch the black kid, so you're just reporting the news, right? You're just reporting the news, so you somehow justify it to yourself. But where does Anna fit in between someone who has brainwashed themselves into believing a false narrative? Did she initially have good intentions and then started to drift and didn't even recognize that she was losing herself, and her views were changing, and she was adrift from reality? Or was she one of the ones that were sort of well aware of what they're doing the entire time and just doing whatever it takes to get the profit, get the views, get the fame, get the attention? It's hard to tell. I'm not a psychologist. I can't read her mind. But I do question my assessment of her, being that I feel that she's dishonest and has been very dishonest with her coverage. But it's very possible that she lost herself and actually started to believe this that she was talking about, and therefore made herself vulnerable to manipulation by right-wing media, who can show her things that she was wrong with, make her start to question herself, and then present this image of you were in a camp that was actually just totally lies and whatever, but we're the ones telling the truth or whatever, and have her sort of drift in that direction. It's complex, man, because I think that conflicts with that is that she spent a lot of time exposing right-wing media and right-wing influencers. So regardless of her being brainwashed into believing certain narratives about racism or whatever, she's very well aware of the dishonesty in right-wing media. That is for sure. So the idea that they could trick her into I have to take that back, because I even had a moment myself where I didn't have a lot of respect for right-wing media at all, and then one of my subscribers that does watch right-wing media kept telling me otherwise, and then I realized that I was ironically, media like TYT was having an effect on me in terms of they'd spend a lot of time bashing right-wing media, people like Ben Shapiro and stuff like that. And I realized that I perhaps wasn't giving them a fair shake in terms of like listening to what they're actually saying and making my own assessment. I was allowing myself to be sort of led in a certain direction. So I started paying more attention. I started watching more deeply. And I started recognizing that they're not just totally nonsense. There are situations where they do have truth. They do have the details of a story that you're not getting in left-wing media. Jacob Blake being one of them. Kyle Rittenhouse being another one, to name a couple. But as I kept watching them closer and closer, I recognized that even though their stuff wasn't just 100% trash, they did have their moments, the overall quality of their content was very, very low, right? Anytime they excel, it's just because, left-wing media is on some garbage, right? If left-wing media gets a story wrong, right-wing media very much, many times they will do a good job, right? Because they'll see that they're misreporting a certain detail, and they'll have the incentive to do research and be able to, because what's the point? Their whole business model is to attack the left. So if left-wing media is misreporting on a story, then right-wing media is going to be incentivized to do the research, dig in, because you want to bury the left. Look at how they lied about this. Look at how they're saying this, and this is actually not true, blah, blah, blah. So they actually do their best work. Wow, that's something I'm just coming to the realization of. Right-wing media perhaps does their best work when the left fails, right? When the left-wing media fails on a story, many times, not always, you get the best work from right-wing media, because the truth of the story just so happens to be a great weapon against left-wing media, right? Because they're wrong about a story, right? So the truth of the story shows that they're wrong, and showing that they're wrong on something is the point. That is something that's attractive to your viewers. So you're incentivized to actually be honest. You're incentivized to actually do journalism and dig in and look at nuance and show all the whatever, right? It's when they are lying, when they're just straight up lying and pushing their rhetoric on behalf of the GOP, that's when they're at their worst, because then they'll just make stuff up. Joe Biden is a socialist. The Democrat Party is being run by AOC. Whatever craziness. They're coming for you with FEMA camps. Whatever nonsense. They'll just say crazy stuff, feelings-based stuff without backing it up, and just basically say anything just to attack the Democrats or the left or whatever. That's the trash. But when the left is wrong about something, when they make it about race and it's not about race, when they try to say a cop, was being racist for shooting someone, and there's details that suggest that that's not the case, these are the moments where right-wing media will shine. And to a weak-minded person, all you need to do is expose them to these things. They said this about Rick Niles, but look at all this stuff. Did you know this stuff? I didn't know any of this stuff. Wow, really? Amazing. That's interesting. Wow, they were all saying something else. And here's the facts and evidence that they were wrong. Wow. What else were they wrong about? And then you show them something else. Remember the story when they said blah, blah, blah? Well, look, here's the truth. And then you start, a weak-minded person, not very sharp, starts questioning, whoa, wow, I never heard any of this stuff. I never saw the second camera angle with Jacob Blake. That's crazy. I watched this story very intensely. I was watching, CNN, MSNBC, I was watching TYT, a lot of different sources talking about this. I was looking on Twitter, and no one ever showed me this second camera angle. Wow. And you start to build this whole, oh my goodness, right? You start to question everything, right? And in that moment of vulnerability, that's when a right-wing influencer can slide someone over to the right, and then put them into this right-wing echo chamber that focuses on stuff that left is wrong about. Now you're in that thing, and all you're focused on is, oh, look, the left is wrong about this, the left is wrong about that, the left is wrong about this, left is wrong. And then over time, from focus on this stuff, and then being in certain circles, now you start to see them, their woke videos, woke this, woke that, and then you kind of be like, actually, this woke stuff is out of control, right? And then there's something about, remember they said that the trend, what's it called? The puberty blocker stuff is safe and just not totally safe, and then they start doing straw man stuff. You can do manipulation, you can do straw man stuff. You say stuff the left isn't actually saying. They say that this is totally perfect and it's never any issues, it's totally safe. Well, look, this person died because of a puberty blocker, and here's another person, and then the person's like, oh my goodness, I've never heard this before. Wow, no one ever said anything about this. Wow, the puberty blocker stuff is wrong. Then they start posting, guys, you guys are wrong about this puberty blocker. And then after some years of going down this path, I could see someone eventually ended up being a right winger. And they are now in a bubble, so they're only seeing stuff showing where the left is wrong or the left made a mistake about it. So they're blinded to the incorrect information from where they are, because they have this bad taste in their mouth, like, TYT, they're just nothing but frauds, and CNN, MSNBC, they just lie. Everything that they lie, I don't even want to listen to those people anymore. Like Ben Shapiro, at least he seems to be more nuanced, and he shows his sources or whatever. So now you drop your guard for Ben Shapiro. You get super skeptical for all left-wing media. So now that's how you get suckered in. So now Ben Shapiro can shape your worldview, because he can give you half-truths and lies of omission or whatever. But because you've dropped your guard, because you've switched sides now, you're now obsessive about the left, they're just lying, right? And now you're comfortable over here. So that makes you an easy mark to be suckered into all kinds of stuff. So that kind of person could genuinely believe that stuff, and a left-wing person could now come and try to debate this person, and they won't budge. Like, no, I don't believe it. I don't believe that. No, that's not true. Just totally close their ears to anything that you're saying that challenges their new point of view. And all they have now is right-wing talking points on everything. Now, obviously, as you pointed out, right-wing talking points can be correct in certain circumstances, but at this point, it's not about whether it's correct or not. It's just about that these are the talking points from the side that you're now on. So you'll hit them back with, but this happened and da-da-da. And what about the thing with Dylan Mulvaney, and he sent the Bud Light, and don't you think that's such and such? What? Oh, yeah, but no. So, I don't know, man. Anyway, let me get out of this car. This is the Debate Me channel. Debate Me in the comment section below. Click on the like button, subscribe, smash that bell. Be well. Answer the question, is she a dumb b? I don't think so. I still don't think so. Might she have some parts of her that are quite naive? Perhaps. Might she be a victim of a little bit of brainwashing herself by her little echo chamber? I'm sure. But without me being able to read her mind and being a psychologist or something, I can't know how much of this stuff is relevant and to what degree. So, anyway, on that note, I'm out. I'm tired, I'm exhausted. Oh, got a long weekend, invited to a party. And I'm trying to finish up my woodwork project. I got a new darker stain. Min wax. I'm sticking with min wax. Everybody says min wax is the wax to use. So I got my min wax. Going with gel. This is for outdoor, and this is coffee is the color. So we're gonna play around with that tomorrow. And I bought myself a sledgehammer burner, 8-pound sledgehammer. But I can't tell you why.